So the screen share, Seema?
Yeah, it's sharing. Let us welcome everybody here. Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Shall we begin?
I think just we give them like a couple of minutes maximum, then we put it off, yeah?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I think we can start, yeah?
Okay.
All right.
Good
So,
morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are delighted to have you with us. My name is Seema Muhammad, and I will be moderating today's session. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes to ensure a smooth session for everyone. So all participants' microphones are muted to avoid background noise. Please also feel free to share your questions in the chat through the session. Also, we've reserved dedicated time at the end of the Q&A where your question will be addressed by Mr. Ahmed. Now let's move to today's session.
All right, thank you so much indeed, Seema. Pleasure having me, everyone. I'm so delighted and honored to be here today, and thank you so much indeed. So, if you could possibly just keep the camera on, would love to see your lovely faces. If you cannot, it's still fine. So, today, I hope to achieve for you is just one single objective, is really give you a proven blueprint and strategy and framework that really help you to earn and keep your permanent seat at the strategic table using my proven PMO minimum viable progress value model. So it's all about the blueprint for accelerating strategy delivery, a game changer model that has really forged in a hard-earned experience. So over the year, I had listed so many PMO transformation engagement in a very complex environment is really helping organization driving the business strategy and increase the ROI and improve the bottom line objectives and help them to move the needle forward. So I'm not going to go through all this kind of bio details. However, in this slide, you can see them. Yeah. So to kick this presentation off, I have very simple 5 true and false questions. So I would love for you just to answer them very quick. So you could possibly put T or F for true and false. And these kind of questions will really help you to understand your current positioning for the PMO and how you could be possibly succeed in the PMO journey. So these 5 questions all about the question number 1. It's all about the PMO balance. And simply, do you have sort of like a moderate sort of like a PMO balancing between a PMO admin function or it's the PMO that really driving the needle, driving business value and business impact for organizations? Okay. The question number 2, the ROI feasibility. So does your company really have the capability and feasibility to really prove the ROI across the whole value chain when you look at the holistic strategy life cycle from strategy formulation going through the strategy execution and strategy realization? So please make sure to put T or F for true and false. And the third question is around right side governance. So when it comes to PMO, that really drive the needle and helping the organization to achieve the ROI and increase the bottom line objective for the company. Do you have the right size governance that really give the insight and decision and enable the strategic and C-suite executive leader to drive an action and decision very quickly or not? So do you have a right portfolio model in place? Do you have a portfolio model or sort of like a authorization, processes in place that really help you and help the leadership really to understand what is the highest priority of initiative that really would implement during the fiscal year? Or do you have sort of like, this is the initiative, or do you have other processes in place that really could possibly help you, to stop those kind of initiatives, to accelerate those initiatives or terminate those initiatives? Okay, and the 5th question is around the PMO powerhouse value engine. Does the PMO today in your company has been positioned as a PMO powerhouse, a value engine that really supporting the strategy life cycle or the strategy value chain, really helping the organization drive decision very quickly, increase the ROI, so put an F or F, T or F in the chat, please. So I believe the 5th question is all about the PMO has earned a seat, your PMO has earned a permanent seat at the executive table by driving an impact, an outcome, and trusted decision making. Today, what I hope to achieve is going to give you a copy-paste blueprint and framework that really help you to position yourself as a strategic business partner, as a strategy navigator who's really supporting the holistic strategy life cycle, okay? And eventually, most imperatively, you're going to earn and keep your seat at the strategic table. So this is our focus for today. So my life purpose, what I hope to achieve for you today is giving you a copy-paste kind of blueprints to drive a tangible, unquestionable, sustainable business value and impact across your value chain, and eventually you earn and keep your seat at the table. So before I'm gonna dig deep toward the slides, I'm gonna take you through what does the industry data and surveys today tell us about the PMO stories and the challenges they're facing. So I have gathered this kind of statistic from different different areas and different citations across the holistic strategy life cycle. So for instance, Gartner, PMI, and even the BWC and big consulting firms, So if I look at the first column, money is not aligned with the strategy. So 60% of organizations that not really link their budget to the corporate strategy. So there is obvious disconnect between strategy and the business planning or the business or the budget performance or budget planning at the beginning of the year. So there is sort of like the strategy has been, formulated and defined at one place, where the execution of the strategy has been happening in the other place. And the second, challenges around the strategy execution, management not really aligned with the strategy. That means 75 of the middle management do not have incentive linked to their organization strategy, and the people not really aligned with strategy. 95% of the typical workforce don't understand their company strategy. So there is obvious disconnect between strategy and what's happening at the front end of the strategy, where the business planning, policy scorecard, the strategic mapping, and so on, where the whole strategy or the holistic team, okay, or those who are driving the strategy execution, they have no any clue about the company strategy. And often I have realized there is some companies very mature when they don't have even strategy in place. So the last not the least, executive not aligned or execution not aligned with the strategy. So 61% of the executive struggle to bridge the gap between strategy formulation and the day-to-day implementation. So the premise for today, I believe, the alignment of the PMO to the goal of the organization objective and the bottom line objective is the key driving strategy implementation. So this has been coded for the PMI pulse of profession. So simply speaking, the PMO construct has to be aligned with the biggest picture strategy, okay, and where the company would like to go. So what we will discover today, so I'm gonna give you a high-level sneak peek about the PMO leadership success from a neuroscience standpoint or from a neuroscience lens, and we're gonna discover the best areas that really support the holistic strategy lifecycle or strategy value chain, and we're gonna cover we're gonna uncover magical proven blueprints, that really uncover the team appetite for change. And I'm going to share with you a proven 5 steps unquestionable communication framework, a proven minimum viable progress value model that really accelerate the strategy delivery. And we're going to uncover the best marketing and organization change management techniques. And last not least, I'm going to take you through a 7-layer deep why to spot the root causes of this pain point, the business challenge might be articulated at the assessment of your PMO. So before we go further, I would love from you if you could possibly tell me your why, what you hope to achieve from today's session. So because the more senses the better, and the more compelling the better. So help me to understand what is your why today, so that I would really, the rest of the slides would really resonate with you. So here, why I'm uniquely qualified to help you to get to the result you want. I'm not an expert. However, I'm someone who really has a diversified expertise and very successful story across different complex environments ranging from public, private, consulting, non-profit organizations. So likely I have been there. I've proven a decade of real expertise in the PMO experience, and I mirrored the challenges likely you might be facing. So bottom line, I would like to say I learned the things the hard way, resulting in taking serious action to be more and learn more. And why this kind of opportunity today, and the model I'm going to present it to you and share with you, is really unique and really could possibly be an opportunity for you better than others to get you to the result you want. I'm going to share with you a new model, a new mind shift, a new state of mind, and this is all about the spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional readiness of the leader. Okay, the 5-step communication framework, and the 7-layer deep why, and the minimum viable progress approach for sustainable business value and ROI. I'm going to share with you also a proven blueprints to gain trust, buy, support from everyone, and how we could possibly earn the trust and buy and support from the leadership and the team and the key impact stakeholder through supporting a holistic strategy life cycle, and you become or position yourself as a strategy navigator. And this is simply, it's not like, unlike a Big Four cookie cutter consulting approach, leave you blind there with no results. So I bring hand of expertise, a tested battle, in a real world scenario, and this stays with you until you realize the value. So why the PMO minimum viable progress is unique. So I'm going to tell you what it is, what it does, and how it changes your life. So the PMO minimum viable progress value model is simply an agile approach. It's all about minimum viable progress system that really help you to position the PMO leaders and strategy delivery leaders as unquestionable strategy navigator who's supporting the holistic strategy lifecycle, drive quick result ROI within one single sprint cycle. And what it does, simply help you to pick the right problems, deliver fast win, and build executive trust. And what is the outcomes out of this? So you're gonna have sort of like a measurable ROI influence, and that really drive, position you to be an, or to keep you a permanent seat at the leadership table. Yeah, sorry, just one second. So what it is, as I tell you, PMO, minimum viable progress value model, is really supporting the holistic strategy life cycle and how it changes your life and what is the expected business outcome when you really apply the model. Is really gaining everyone's trust, drive greater throughputs and maximize ROI across the whole portfolio projects pipeline, get to the business outcome quickly and sustainably. And it's all about a step-by-step iterative MPV approach. It has sort of like agile mindset in place and agile delivery. And it's all about the momentum, the action. You show the business leader a quick result as quickly as possible, because oftentimes the senior leadership, when they hire the PMO leaders to take any sort of a leadership role, they cannot really wait for quite long, more than 3 months or one single quarter. Okay, so you got to show the value quickly and more confidently. So it's the PMO-MVP Value Model is a magical 5-step value communication framework. I'm going to show you later how this kind of communication framework really align and really help the senior leadership to understand the business language around the model. And eventually the PMO-MVP is all about a business outcome value engine rather than a project related kind of PMO. So it gives a clear roadmap to break through the result. And I'm gonna touch base the strategies and the framework that I'm gonna use to help you to navigate through different key stakeholders. Some of them, the lover, the hater, they don't care. So how you could really build emotional, spiritual resilience and mental capabilities, how to navigate through different leadership, and how to position yourself as, a business partner where everyone gonna beg for your support rather than resisting you. So I'm gonna take you sort of the next slide around the old paradigm versus new paradigm. So the common PMO mistake, there is so many PMO mistakes today in the market. However, those mistakes is not only about you, and simply those mistakes or failing the PMO to drive or to show a quick value or strategic business value, simply because the business leader or the executive, they don't see the value they're looking for. They're not really seeing the business outcome and the result they hope to achieve. So I'm going to take you through around 5 key common mistakes or pitfalls, and how you're going to do about them to fix them. So the biggest mistake, number 1, outputs over outcomes. So most of the time, and I'm guilty as well, when I reflect back to my early PMO journey, I start by building processes, templates, and perfecting the project execution side of the picture. So it's this perception, it drives me to fail so many blocks and challenges, because the business leader, they're not really looking for the project's outputs and quality and this kind of triple constraint outputs. Rather, they're looking for outcomes or result and tangible business value. That really help them to move the needle forward and eventually realizing their bottom line objective and increase the ROI as quickly as possible. So most of the time, ROI is not really proven. So I'm going to show you how to prove your ROI, so sort of like a step-by-step, kind of blueprint to help you to do so. And there is obvious sort of strategy misalignment. What I try to say here is most of the time, the PMO leader, when they've been hired, they start fixing the project, or they assume what is broken is the project management, processes. Rather, there is sort of misalignment from the beginning. So the strategy is happening at the front end, and where is the execution of the project happening in different areas. So governance over agility, there is no one size fit all for it's obviously. However, there is no one right governance that really support the portfolio pipelines, and there is no sort of like agile, nimble, model in place. And often there is no prioritization and weak sponsorship. So let me take you very quick through the PMO MVP Value Model, the 5-step journey, and it's really a fast track success I have been using for the last decade in different contexts and a very complex environment. And simply start with the SMP. SMP, when I reflect back, when I started my first PMO journey, my mom went through a Parkinson movement disorder. She has sort of like mental agitation, anxiety, and sleep disorder. So this affected me as well because, and I could possibly, I believe you relate, because mom means everything to me and everyone. So it was a bit challenging for me to really have a stable emotional and mental resilience, and to have a very stable state of mind, because if you look at from an instrument, if you're tuning an instrument, you are not in a tune from the inside, you cannot be in a harmony from the outside. So building the PMO foundation, I believe, is all about the support, evaluating, have a leadership ready from a neuroscience standpoint, which is all about the emotional, spiritual, mental, physical readiness, so that you could possibly navigate through different value streams. So you navigate through different key stakeholders, some of them the lover, the hater, and don't care. So the second phase, or before you jump to the second phase, building your foundation is, I believe, is all about, as I said, you got to assess your personal PMO leadership profile. So you got to understand your current state of mind, where you are spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally ready. And you got to discover the best area that really support the holistic strategy life cycle, not supporting only the strategy execution side of the picture. And we're gonna uncover the common pitfalls and PMO leader must encounter, So then you got to be prepared mentally to shift from a project policy to strategy and part, So when it comes to scanning, you got to scan the holistic strategy life cycle, as I said. So, and the key legitimate rationale behind goes through the scanning phase. After you're building your foundation, you need to build a positive relationship with the key stakeholder. You got to understand their vision, their need, and what they need, and you need to give them what they want before giving them what you assume they need. So, if you really listen to them twice as you speak, you partner with them, and you build a positive relationship, build a positive, sustainable relationship with the key stakeholder. Trust me, they're gonna beg for more, and they're gonna beg for your support rather than resisting you. So here I'm gonna just give you a sneak peek how you could possibly engage or assess the key stakeholder, and how you could possibly build a positive relationship with them. So you got to understand who they are, what they need, and how you're gonna help them. So those could possibly executive, high-level C-suite executive, could be delivery leaders, business owners, and what they need clarity, they need confidence, you need from you to listen to them twice as you speak. They need a tangible business value, and how you're gonna build this kind of relationship, how you're gonna engage with them. You got to listen twice as you speak, and you got to create with them those kind of solution and service offering you're gonna put together. So you don't need to assume this is the solution you need. Okay, you have to work with them, partner with them, and eventually they're gonna define this solution by themselves. So simply speaking, if you know who they are, as I said, the lover, the hater, I don't care, it would be easy for you, to go where they are. So even the key sponsorship of the PMO is critical for the PMO success. So the PMO sponsor, you got to understand, you have to assess him as well. You got to understand his wisdom, what he needs from me from his perspective. Does he has sort of like a very legitimate, strong, high level of wisdom in alignment? Does he has the capacity for change or competency for change? Does he lead any sort of business transformation journey in the past or not? So what you hope to achieve is you need a key sponsor or a business leader who's supporting or a champion the PMO, who has a strong advocate with high level of change competency and high level of wisdom alignment. So you build your foundation around the SMP. You scan the holistic or strategy life cycle. You take the stakeholder and the sponsors with you through the journey to understand their pain and challenges and opportunities that really help the company move the needle forward. Now you go designing the value delivery model. So when you design the solution, you are not going to jump straight away to design the solution. You're going to go through sort of like, root cause analysis. You get to take the key stakeholders through a level 5 or level 6 deep why to understand the underlying challenges of the root causes of the problem. So to make sure you put a solution, not to the symptoms, so that will never pop up again. So after you design the solutions, you're gonna plan. You put sort of like a 1-year implementation plan that articulate the what and why and how and when. You articulate all the business challenges, the pain point, the opportunities, and the timeline, when you're going to implement them, and the impact, the business value behind it. And you put it in one single roadmap, and you give it to the senior leadership to give them sense of visibility, how would future would look like, And all this kind of plan has been crafted based on the initial or the previous assessment around the scanning and design. So let me just give you a deep dive, sort of like, in details around it. So when you plan, you got to build a business plan. You don't build, one of the best wrong practices, I believe, is starting your PMO by building a charter, because a charter for a project, and a project is temporary and over. When the project is over, the PMO is over, or the charter is over. So you got to treat your PMO as a business-driven or business-focused value engine, same as the finance department, IT department, business development department. All of them, they start with a business plan. So you got to develop sort of like a strategy focused plan, for your PMO. And you create a management plan and maturity model, how you're going to take those key stakeholder and the key leadership with you through the journey. And you got to even draft sort of like an engagement and communication messaging, because you need to own the PMO. If you don't own it, someone will own it. So you got to develop sort of like engagement, marketing, branding, and messaging plan to keep every single one aligned with the transformation journey with you. So eventually you're going to put a final presentation, delivery proposal for the key leadership. It's sort of like a strategy for now. So it's putting together all the capabilities, the solution, and the timeline, how we're going to implement them. And because you need the senior leadership to prioritize them, because eventually when it comes to implementation, you are not going to launch the full 1-year implementation plan. We're not going to boil the ocean. We're going to just select one single MVV, minimum viable progress. Okay, we implement it, then we go to the next. So when you launch your MVV, or minimum viable progress, one single solution, okay, you're going to deliver one single quick win. You have to spot one single challenges. You have been articulated. You put the governance behind it. You put the solution behind it, okay? So even, over the last 9 months, I've developed and polished sort of like a PMO co-pilot that really, augmented your PMO leadership. And the PMO, I believe the AI or the PMO co-pilot, it's a tool that really help you to automate the admins. It could really help you, it make you more human, because you're gonna save 50 to 70% of your time. It's acting like strategic business partner for you, reducing the manual effort for you. And the reason why I think of the notion of the PMO co-pilot, because it's really helping you to generate custom business plan, business chart, business case for your PMO, the design governance for the portfolio model, for the portfolio, and even support decision intelligence. Okay, so the PMO co-pilot is really transformed the traditional PMOs into reporting, from a reactive or reporting heavy function into smart, predictive, insight-driven engines. So this is one of the communication framework. You could use it when you speak to any single key stakeholders, okay, or even the sponsor. You got to take them through a very legitimate, step-by-step questionnaire around, okay, what is the pain point you're facing today? What services solution you're going to articulate? What is the outcome of this kind of solution? What is the impact you're going to realize on the organization? And you put the metric, the right metric, or the KPI to measure how would success look like. Let me give an example very quick. So if you have a pain, a senior leadership or a key stakeholder, after you do the scanning with them, he tell you we have one of the biggest pain. We don't have a clear picture of the work taking place in the organization. So what sort of solution you could put together? We can put a portfolio management governance, we could put metric and dashboard and reporting, and we could put sort of like communication strategy, to articulate this kind of pain has been realized or has been, communicated by a business leader. So the outcome, if you put sort of like the right governance and reporting, you put portfolio model, you put the right communication strategy in place, the outcome will be realized in the organization. You will have transparency. And the impact, by using straightforward project portfolio approach, you will have sort of like high level of transparency. You're gonna help the company to focus on the highest priority of projects and lowering the focus on the lowest, priority of projects. So what sort of metric you could put in place to make sure you're tracking the success? Number of projects align with the strategy, number of staff who has clarity of the strategy or really aware of the strategy happening, or you aware of the objective of the company that really align with the biggest picture of the big picture strategy. And you put sort of like implementation metric that really for every single solution or services you have to put a metric to show the value, whether it's successful or not. So if you look at the holistic strategy lifecycle, there is 3 phases of any sort of strategy to be defined. Yes, once again, I think the slides pop up. You see the slide, yeah?
Yes,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so the strategy definition, as I said, there is 3 phases of any sort of strategy to be realized: strategy definition, strategy execution, and strategy realization. So at the front end of the strategy, when the business planning, the policy scorecard, strategic mapping, and you define sort of like the strategic ideas need to be implemented, and the approval of the project come into play. So this is the value has been defined. At the strategy execution, where the value has been created. So you start the planning and delivery of the projects, and at the end, where the value is to be realized, where you get to measure the benefit realization, you get to measure the ROI, whether you are successful or not. And most of the time I had realized, the PMO leaders, they miss the mark around supporting the front end of the strategy, because there is no obvious sort of like intake process in place where the business plan, where the business case articulate the what and why and how for the projects. So to ensure the value has been realized, you get to go back to the business case where it has all these kind of questions and the answer and the right metric to track whether you are successful or not. So the PMO to rescue, I'll tell you a story. So I have a friend of mine has been hired as a PMO leader to fix a project management, because a business leader, or he was a CTO, he asked him, could you please go and fix for us the projects, because projects taking too long, costing too much, we're not realizing the ROI. Okay, so the PMO jumped straight away and he started with the strategy execution. So he started training projects manager, bring an army of them. He started creating processes, tool and templates, and he tried to implement one of the solutions to make the admin, hoping that he will help the leader, the CTO, to achieve the ROI, to improve the ROI. But still the project taking too long, costing too much. And the reason why, before I go to the reason why, I believe when the PMO leader start with the strategy delivery, start with the tool, the templates and processes and training and coaching the projects manager, it's okay, you can do it, but it's in the right order. After you understand the biggest pain and where is the areas you could possibly, the PMO should focus to drive an undeniable business value, where it's all within the strategy formulation. So it's still everything number one priority, strategy is unclear, resources over allocated, manager redirecting your staff. This is at the front end of the strategy. Even at the strategy realization, projects do not meet the goals, the project costing too much, and they are not measuring value and making the same mistake over and over again. So does the PMO leader really help the C-suite executive or the CTO to realize the ROI, or to really help with the project management issue? No, because it's still everything number one priority, project taking too long and costing too much, and they still still keep doing the mistake over and over again. And the reason why, uh, one of the biggest areas or critical areas that really help the PMO become a PMO powerhouse and position themselves as a strategy business partner and strategy navigator, okay, when they focus on the strategy definition and the strategy realization. So in order to have a different result, a different story about your PMO, you got to stop following a typical advices. And those typical advices you might come across through reading a book or going through a training course, giving you the wrong advices. And most of those kind of books and most of the courses today in the market that really around, a PMO leader, they should focus on the strategy execution of the picture, where you get to build a PMO center of excellence supporting, the projects manager training, coaching processes and templates. You can come to that, but in the right cadence, in the right order, when you really focus initially in the strategy formulation phase, because you're going to set the projects for success from the beginning. Moving forward, even the strategy is going to be realized, and you could really help the company achieve the bottom line objective. So I'm going to take you very quick through my results. So I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to pick one single line. However, it's all about, and the reason why I'm bringing what I'm bringing is all about, all this kind of success story. I drive a PMO. It's all about consistency, clarity, ROI realization, and helping the company moving the needle. Because my model, my perception for the PMO is all centered around one single mission, is solving business problem business leader have. So when you focus or reshifting your focus around solving the business problem, you become a strategy navigator and business partner, focusing more in the strategy definition phase of the picture and the strategy realization. Okay, you're gonna gain trust, you're gonna prove value very fast. Okay, so community service, even I have been part of so many community engagements. For instance, I've been supporting the PMO Global Alliance, as a PMO judging committee for the last 7 or 8 consecutive years. Helping or really assessing different global PMOs. Pitching against the PMO Global Awards, and I've been selected recently by the PMI UAE chapters as a regional mentor. And recently I have been selected as a thought leader for an AI initiative mentorship program in Saudi Arabia. And I've been, I had the privilege and the honor to be an international keynote speaker across PMI, UAE and the PMO Global Alliances and the PMO Africa, and as well as the the PMO leader. So this is my result. This is the client I've been working and serving and driving sort of like a successful PMO transformation journey, mostly for the last 9 years within the UAE. And why Run PMO Consulting is unique, or it has sort of like competitive advantages, because we use a proprietary trademark system called PMO, minimum viable progress. It's really delivering one single ROI within one single sprint cycle, as opposed to any consulting approach. Big Four consulting approach. And we have leverage an augmented PMO co-pilot, an AI-driven, tool that really help you to automate the admin and focus on the value and focus on building the positive relationship and focusing on leveling your PMO leadership, rather than wasting time on the admin side of the PMO. And it's really centered about the SMP, the spiritual, mental, physical leadership, because we understand the PMO leadership is all about the leader himself. So you get to have sort of like a stable state of mind. You have the right emotional and mental resilience, so that you could possibly and easily navigate through different key, stakeholders. Some of them, the lover, the hater, don't care, and how you could possibly build a positive relationship with them, and even your mental capabilities help you to define or to stay calm when there is a pressure or very difficult situations. So, based I believe on what we have covered today, I'm quite confident that even in your own, you could really have a real progress and hit a meaningful goal with the resources we have already had. And that is the path you choose. It's worthy for you. But so now the question is, After I given you all the blueprints and framework and strategies, and this is just with scratching the surface and give you a high-level sneak peek about how could possibly the future would look like when you apply the PMO minimum viable progress value model. So the question is, if you need a fast result, okay, how much trial and error can you afford? But if you have an opportunity today, you didn't have to figure it out alone. If you have someone who's really quite committed and passionate enough and committed to serve the PMO community, and because I really reshape my abilities as is about serving, because I've been in your shoes. I wish if I had me when I was you. So, and I forged things the hard way. I'm gonna give you the blueprints if you choose to work with me. So, if you are ready to move from insight to implementation, you could either book a call with me, or you could apply. We're gonna send the because I have sort of like a course coming very soon. So it's gonna be like 21st of January. It's 4 weeks for a PMO minimum viable progress system implementation around the 5 steps of building the foundation, the scanning, the designing, and the launching, learning, and scaling. So it's all about, we're gonna build one single MBV or one single quick wins within one single quarter, and we're gonna build one holistic roadmap, okay, and fully productized. So when you give it to the leadership, they could really, approve it and move forward. So the bonuses, it has full implementation toolkits and templates. I have PMO readiness and direction check. Please, Seema, could you share with them the PMO readiness direction check? And we're gonna have sort of like a step-by-step workbooks, guiding resources. And I'm gonna share with you my proven, and I've been polished for the 9 months, and I've tested with few, members or students as part of my PMO mentorship program. It's called AI co-pilots. I have defined it and designed it sort of like a copy-paste, prompts. It has been put together through the 5 steps. It could help you build the charter. You don't need to build the charter, I'm sorry. You build the business plan, the business case, and all the artifacts around the PMO implementation. So, and we're gonna a crazy bonuses around ebooks for your PMO strategy, leadership, stakeholder, and so on. And we have free mastermind community practice. I would love for you to join. It's sort of like a collective wisdom. Instead of like learning from one person, you're learning from one another like-minded PMO transformation leader. So I have guys that are very exceptional. I can see them today. A very exceptional and unique kind of like-minded PMO transformation leader across the region or across the MENA region. So you could possibly share with them your wins and, if you have tough questions, if you need to share resources. So we could support one another. So it's really safe hub for collaboration and moving forward and moving fast. And yeah, so thank you so much indeed today. It's been a pleasure for showing up today, and we cannot wait really to work with you. So thank you so much. So please, Seema, if there is any sort of questions, could you please bring them up?
Thank you, Ahmad, for those valuable insights. We'll now move to the Q&A session. So everybody is like to ask any questions, please raise your hands feature. I will invite you to unmute so you can ask your question directly to Ahmad. So go ahead, please.
You could just possibly raise your hand so we can take the questions in order. If there is any question in the chat, Seema, we can as well, could answer them.
Hey, Mr. Ahmed.
Yeah, hi.
Sorry, you're speaking.
Your good name, sorry?
Yeah, hi, this is Patanjali Shastri from India, Bangalore.
Yeah, hi, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
How are you? Actually, we have been interacting in LinkedIn.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Yes, I was just going through the mails and I attended this here. So thanks a lot for such a wonderful session. So when you say minimum viable progress now, see, there are different kinds of PMOs, right? I mean, which organizations set up, in fact, they set up a PMO for example, for exclusively for some projects, project-based PMO, and sometimes they start with mm, supportive PMO, okay, a supportive PMO, and then because I've set up the immediate PMO in Avaya, we have done that. We started with a supportive PMO, we scaled it up as a directive controlling PMO, wherein not only supporting the PMO activities, we also used to manage a couple of projects ourselves. And across overall governance trainings, across the, the India theater for all. In fact, I myself have trained more than 40 project managers after the nodal acquisition on the various project management methodologies, tools, and all. Now, let's say I'm just thinking, that. See, when you make viable progress, so would you suggest? I'm just trying to correlate because we just started with the UK and Ireland initially, the activities. We saw how things have progressed and how the project management community has benefited from this particular PMO, and we showcased it to the rest of the countries, and they accepted it. So, is this the kind of strategy and approach that you're suggesting when you say minimum viable progress on similar
So,
lines? Need not be exactly
your question is, you have sort of like supportive function for the PMO, right?
right.
What is the main goal of the PMO? So you're supporting the strategic execution side of the picture?
Well, we were supporting we initially started with supporting the entire project management activities, let's say, based on the certain orders and converging those orders into, initial project template in Avia's project management
Yeah,
system,
yeah,
ensuring that once the project manager gets assigned, he will
yeah.
have the basic understanding of what this requirement is all about
Mm.
and the template and all, because the system itself had certain templates to allocate resources and everything. We used the study. So that's how we started. And after that, the other e-procurement activities, governance, and SOX compliance, and all these activities. And
Yeah,
over a period of time, we also used to manage a couple of projects also. That's how I've expanded across the entire Himia theater.
yeah,
So what I'm trying to understand when you say minimum viable progress, is this the kind of approach you're suggesting?
yeah, yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Edie, for your questions. Really, it's very nice one. I believe, so your PMO is centered around the PMO center of excellence, Well, it's all about, building tool and template and processes and supporting the project's management function within the company. And there is nothing wrong with that. What really mattered the most, when I start the PMO is really sitting with the key stakeholders or sitting with the PMO sponsor, the one who is really hiring you to address the challenges the company having today. So it's all about understanding at the face time or the outset before building anything. You got to understand, the value proposition with the PMO, the why of the PMO, and what the PMO is standing for. So asking the right question to the key stakeholders, to the PMO sponsor, what keep them at night, what keeps them awake at night. So the more understanding the why, the more compelling the PMO service offering you're going to put together to solve this kind of business challenges. And before you go through any sort of like, building a tool and templates or bringing army of PMs or building a tools and processes, you got to have holistic scanning across the strategy value chain, because the business leaders, what they care most, they don't care about the project's outputs, because when they pay, they pay the check for the investing in the projects or even investing in the PMO. They would like to see a tangible business value and result. This result is all about the ROI, return of investment. So even whenever you speak to them, you got to speak to them in a business language rather than a project speak, because they don't speak PM. They don't care about the project management, whether the project has been delivered on time, cost, quality, and scope. What matters the most for them is really moving the needle forward, drive business result and business outcome. So I believe what you're doing is nice, but however you got to put the PMO model in the right order. So before rebuilding the tool and templates, which it comes at the third phase of the PMO MVP. What I'm trying to say is after you undertake the holistic assessment across the whole value chain, because you might realize there is a business challenges within the strategy formulation, or there is a problem with the strategy execution, And when you focus face on the strategy formulation side of the picture, it has positive ripple effect. Because most of the time, if you haven't set the projects for success at the strategy phase, at the strategy formulation phase, you cannot really drive, ROI out of those projects. So you might hit sort of, there is a misalignment. There is no clear objective for the projects. The project managers even they're not part of the strategic planning or the strategy formulation phase of the picture. So bottom line, you got to understand the why, the value proposition. You got to go through step by step building the PMO right, which is start by scanning, defining the solution, and the solution, it has to be after you take the key stakeholder through 5-layer deep why. You got to spot the root causes of the real issue, because when you put the solution, you make sure you're putting the right solution to the right problem, not the right symptoms. So those kind of problems gonna remove permanently. Okay, then you're gonna build 1-year roadmap. The roadmap is like 1-year roadmap aligned with the fiscal planning, the fiscal planning of the company. It's 1 year. However, when you do the implementation or delivering the solution or one single solution or one single MBV, you are not gonna boil the ocean. You are not gonna build all the solution you have articulated in the roadmap. You got to pick one single MBV, one single solution or one single capability. You implement it. You give it some time to stick. And most imperative, you got to bring every single with key stakeholder through the fold. You got to build the MBV with your key impact stakeholder. So you need to develop. You need to create a pull, not a push. So I hope you answer the question.
Yes. That's thank you very much for your inputs on that. And in fact, see, nowadays organizations are mostly they're talking about agile PMOs. Implementing the agile because see, just frank with you, because I started waterfall and I scale up as a program manager. Till one organization. After that, I was delivered projects in the agile methodology. I was a program manager, was scrum master, was a release manager. Okay, in fact, I've trained so many people on agile scrum now. When it comes to agile, see, it differs the way how it differs from your waterfall is that definitely it goes by sprints and all. Either you can ban, okay, mostly if it's a software development, well, it goes with Scrum. Even you have to play Scrum. Now, there, the minimum viable product and all these concepts, they come into picture. Now, I'm just understand for when an organization asks for an agile PMO, okay, they say that no, we want. So, would you suggest that okay, whoever based on the strategy or based on the requirements, the person whoever is going to set up that particular PMO should have a thorough understanding of agile methodologies and how does it go like that, or is it a different approach that you have to take? Because sprints and all that, as you know, in Agile and Scrum, it's not plans, it's all everything through Jira, sprints, and all the Scrum ceremonies, and that's how it goes. The product vision till, in fact, obviously, in some of the scale agile concepts, you implement Scrum or Scrums, PO sync up meetings, and all this. Okay, so this is the kind of approach, and this is how projects are to be delivered. And the PM community does it. So, for an agile PMO to come up with, how would we go with this minimum viable progress? Because there is a minimum viable product is what that matters in Scrum, isn't it? So I'm just trying to correlate your concept with that.
Yeah, I believe you misinterpreted the concept about MBV or the agile, concept when it comes to business transformation. So what I try to say is not like the implementation approach when it comes to projects. So the Scrum Master on this kind of agile implementation approach. This is when it comes to projects when you choosing the right implementation approach, as opposed to using waterfall. But the MBV, it's simply when you're leading a sort of business transformation journey. You could possibly call it agile. You could agile transformation office. You could call it SMP, strategy management office. Whatever you call it, what I try to say, the concept of the transformation is really building one single implementation roadmap for 1 year. While when it comes to implementation, you got to be agile, nimble, and change capable. You got to implement one single solution over time. And when you put this kind of 1 year roadmap, you got to present it to the leadership, where the key stakeholder and the leadership, they're gonna prioritize and select, what the order of those kind of solutions. So when you get to implementing them, you will choose one at one single quarter. So the whole approach of the PMO to be a powerhouse, to earn and keep a seat at the table, you got to support the holistic strategy life cycle, strategy formulation, strategy execution, and strategy realization. When it comes to implementation, you're choosing one single solution over time. Yeah. So yeah, I hope it answered your question. So can you see me have another question?
Okay,
I'm
so
running out of time. Yeah.
yeah, I think we still have a time to get one more question. So everybody, if there's
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Wassalam rahmatullah. Who is this, please?
This Mr. Naji. I'm very happy to be
My man, my
part of
man.
this.
Naji, how are you, my friend? It's been a while.
Very good, Mr. Ahmed. I'm very happy to be part of this very informative initiative. I'm happy. This is very rich information. I like the way you presented and the unique method now you have shared with us.
Thank you so
And
much.
I hope in the future I'll be part of this, the MVP PMO. So,
Inshallah.
I just have a small question. How you see the AI now and the automation reshaping the PMO functions in the next few years, considering the new initiative now, the MVV PMO? How this will, how will be in the future? Thank
Yeah,
you.
amazing. This is a very good question, Naji. Thank you so much indeed, and it's been a pleasure seeing you today. Naji has been my best friend and my colleague back in, we done master together back in University of Technology, Malaysia, back in Malaysia, I mean. So since 20 years, I haven't seen him. So it's good to see you today, my friend. So, okay, going back to your question, I believe, the AI, it will never replace the human judgment or leadership. However, it's gonna augment it, your capabilities and the way how you move forward and you move fast, more confident. I believe AI is gonna make you more human, because when you leverage AI or the co-pilots, you would have any space for yourself to focus on most the valuable work you can do with the PMO. You transfer the admin, okay, to the AI or the co-pilot, where it could give you sense of peace, sense of space, where you could focus on building the relationship and position yourself as the different leadership roles, And the model I've been using within the 5 steps of the PMO, minimum viable progress value model, has been navigated through the 5 steps, starting with building the PMO foundation. So you got to understand your state of mind. So, and even the scanning, the delivery, and the planning, and launching even when you're scaling. So leveraging the AI capabilities would really help you with having more time. And I believe AI will never replace any sort of like a PMO leaders. An AI might replace someone who might not today, master the skill set and capabilities of using AI. Yeah. So it gives more freedom for the PMO leaders from now moving forward. It gives a very informative, a data-driven insight for the senior leadership, because one of the key critical capabilities and solution service offering the PMO could really help the C-suite and the leadership team is to have holistic strategy, looking at the holistic strategy, or this investment. So when they understand the status of the initiative, they understand the status or the performance of the portfolio pipelines through sort of data-driven insight, automated using or leveraging AI. I believe this is one of the biggest advantages for using AI. I hope it makes sense. Naji, you're muted.
Yes, it makes so much sense. Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. I'm very happy for this information. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure, my friend. See you. Take
Okay.
care. Hey, Gazim.
Mr.
Good to see
Ahmed.
you.
Sorry.
Hi, Mr. Ahmed.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Good to see you.
I was late for your conference. I couldn't listen the all session. but I want to say the on high greetings from the Turkey.
Yeah. There is a recording, by the way. Seema, would
Uh,
later send it to you.
yeah, I don't have any question because I don't know I know the some concepts and subjects of the PMO types, but I will read the MPV from your post on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Thank
I
you so
want to
much.
just to say the hi all everyone.
Thank you so much. Yeah, pleasure having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, pleasure. Yeah. So, any other questions, please? Feel free to unmute yourself and show up live if you can, and bring your question live. So, if any other question in the chat, Seema, we can answer them.
Yeah, there is one. In fact, just this other shots again. So just for last one. In fact, nowadays what I've observed is some of the organizations, I would say bigger ones, but some mid ones and some startups and all. They say that no, in fact, forget about PMOs. They're saying that even project management roles, Scrum Master roles are also of no use at all. Just because this happened with one of my cousins who was working. I mean, they have set up a center in India. His main head of the organization is based out of Netherlands, and it seems that they have retrenched all the project managers, the Scrum Masters, and they're asking the functional guys to do all these activities. I said, what? How can that be? I mean, this kind of perception, I don't know why it is being perceived. They don't see value. That doesn't help because yes, they play a vital role, and I was surprised. How can we change this perception? I mean, they don't see PMOs and PMOs and Scrum Master and all adding any value to the organization. That sounded so weird. I
Yeah,
mean, I
there
think
is
this
a
is perception. Yeah.
yeah. I believe there is an obvious kind of dilemma between the projects management and the agile management, and both of them they serve in the same one single mission, or vision for the companies. Because if you look at the agile, it has you deliver projects on time, cost, quality, and scope. Even for project management, there
Right.
is sort of like, because in the agile there is sort of a sprint cycling, kind of sprint planning, iterative kind of implementation. So when it comes to projects, it's all about delivering value as quickly as possible and realizing the ROI. So what matters the most for the business leader is to see tangible result. They don't care whether you manage the projects on time, on cost, on quality, because if the project eventually fail to realize the intended business outcome or the result, it's a failing project. So just let me put it in a context. If you are leading sort of like a digital transformation initiative or building a tool, so eventually this solution no one has been used, it hasn't increased the customer satisfaction, it hasn't helped you to achieve the market share by a specific percentage, it hasn't met the metric you have been articulated the business case, it doesn't help you to realize a tangible measurable business value, it's a failing project. However, the PMO MVM, it's an agile concept. When you go through the 5 steps of the implementation, and I could argue it's a system, it's systematic approach for scanning, designing the solutions, put the plan, delivering or launching, and then scaling. So the iterative agile mindset behind it, when you put or you're crafting a 1-year implementation roadmap or a plan, that really help the leadership to understand how what future would look like, because eventually this is a business transformation journey. All right. So you're gonna pick one single solution, one single service, or one single capability. You put it into action. You give it some time to stick. And during this kind of implementation, you got to make sure you navigating through different change management approaches. Because you need to bring every single one of the key stakeholder with you through this journey. Because if you are not really being part of the journey, they're gonna drain your progress. So you got to make sure they're really supporting you and they really buying what you're offering them. So the organization change management capability is really substantially legitimate and vital to ensure success. And implementation of one single solution over time is the critical for success as well. Yeah. So yeah, I believe, thank you so much indeed, guys, for your time today, and hope we see you soon. Thank you so much indeed, Seema,
Thank
for
you,
your time,
Ahmed.
for moderating the session. I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you, everyone.
till next time, take care. Bye bye.
Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.